Hey, Sean, welcome to the show. How are you?
Very well. How are you?
I'm doing very good. There are reports that you recently got married. Is this true? Congratulations. How recent is it?
It's Thursday.
Oh, my goodness. So this is, you're really fresh into it.
Yeah, we did a COVID wedding. By that, I mean it was a county commissioner on Zoom, and we were at the house, my two children and her brother, and we did it that way.
That actually, having had a very large wedding, that actually sounds pretty nice and low stress.
Let's say there are socially liberating factors under COVID.
I want to compliment you on what I feel was the funniest moment in television this year. You played yourself in an episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm as the owner of a pet store, and it's the hardest I laughed all year. Did you enjoy that?
I did enjoy it. Yeah, I'm a big fan of that show, so it was nice to get the invitation to come down. They have a pretty loose play plan, very encouraging, and we had a lot of fun. Yeah.
Does all the time you're spending here take away from, acting?
I was never a very zen sort of personality, but I find myself very, very calm now. I think, it's the birds.
Shut up!
Yeah, I asked Larry David about it, and he said you improvised yelling at the parrots, and I thought, well, that was the best moment. So again, I took my cap.
Yeah, thanks. I can't remember what was improvised and what was not, because we just did it a few times, and they kind of loosened it up each time, and yeah. But I had a good time doing it. It was short, it was just a shot that one morning and out.
It's very nice when you create a world for someone to come in, work a very short amount of time, and score. That's why you keep getting people to say yes to you.
Yeah, they've figured out that chemistry. They've got so you go in there, you kind of feel like there's some unseen safety net anyway, because everybody's terrific on that show all the time. So you figure, well, I don't want to be the odd one out.
Right, exactly. I want to talk about CORE. So this is an organization you started after the earthquake in Haiti, and now you're also using it to help increase COVID testing. What brought you to the decision to do that? And was it easy to take an organization that had been set up for other things and to sort of shift it into this testing world?
Yes and no. I mean, what was easy is to say we had more than most in terms of the infrastructure of a disaster response organization, and we had done infectious disease once with the cholera outbreak in Haiti. That's a bit of a starter kit for what this incredibly transmittable COVID is. So we initially went to the governor of California and said, look, we've got people, we've got some experience, and we've got the will to play. Where would you guide us? He guided us to Mayor Garcetti in Los Angeles City, in the Los Angeles Fire Department, where they had already set up test sites, but those test sites were being operated by firefighters who frankly had other things to be doing for the city. And so we were able to take training and to absorb those sites and then expand site after site till now we're doing all the city sites.
One of the major issues has been a lack of transparency from the government to the people insofar as how long it's going to take to get your results, what it means you need to do in the time between when you get tested and when you get your results. Is it important when you're testing people to let them know exactly how long it's going to be until they find out?
I think it's essential, and this is something that we've been working very hard with the city on, and that's just in our operations in Los Angeles, because we're throughout the country. And we've been expanding this with a criteria for our organization to operate. Our criteria is moving towards a total 5-day program. So you are notified from the time you test. You come in with the assumption that you will cooperate in contact tracing. You will isolate from the time you're tested, certainly to the time you are notified. If you're notified positive, you will continue to quarantine, and you'll be contact traced within 5 days. After 5 days, any of these reports that you hear, if it is more than 5 days, the cat's out of the bag. It becomes relatively useless, except for those who, by being notified, begin to quarantine from additional spread with the community or family. But it's where you have an open economy, very difficult to get people who were out of a job a long time to, if they are asymptomatic, quarantine themselves out of a job. So it has to be, the language at least has to be charged with the seriousness of the pandemic. It is not always enforceable, but it is always mandatory. And that's what we're moving towards. But we want people to know that from the time they're tested, they will only have 2 days of full isolation if they then test negative.
And do you find, like, when you explain it to people in sort of terms that are easy to understand like that they're pretty game to go along with the rules you set out?
Yes, I think that it is less an issue of rebellion against the machine or against liberty than it is an issue of chaotic communications from the White House down. And also through while a lot of the media has done a very good job, if half of the media is not doing a good job, if they're going point to point every day, you lose track of the 5, 6 essential things you got to know. And it's those essential things you got to demand of your friends and neighbors and of the public health system.
This is very exciting as well. I know you're doing a reunion table read at Fast Times, Ridgemont High, coming up in a couple weeks, right?
Right. Yeah, August 20th, I think.
That is such an iconic role, but is it true that you did not feel as though you nailed that audition?
Oh, for the original movie?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's but I have to say that movie's audition gets more attention and questions, but it is true that I never did a good audition for anything. I just was not.
Okay, good.
The big difference with that one is that after I failed the audition, the casting director, Don Phillips, came running after me in the parking lot, I guess having seen something, and drew me in to give it a little bit more. I was resentful of auditions and just felt if they didn't get it by osmosis, I shouldn't give it till they were paying me.
Now, you've also been on the other side, you've been a director. Do you feel like as a director, when people come and audition, you have a great empathy for what they're going through?
Yeah, and many times I won't audition people. I'll often sort of just have somebody come in and meet and get a sense of them and talk to them a little bit, their instincts about the character and the story. And, you know, there's been times where I've cast non-actors without auditioning them. And other times you feel you have to because you're looking for some kind of a chemistry with somebody. You got to see that. But yeah, I'm very empathetic. I find it painful.
Yes, I've been very happy that the last decade or so of my life, I haven't had to go through that because it is it's heartbreaking.
It's the only good thing about success in acting, frankly, is not auditioning.
Does that mean that, I know you've directed Jack Nicholson twice, is it safe to assume that he did not have to audition for either of those?
Yes, surprisingly, he did not have to audition. He just had to respond to my pleas.
In the days when I was struggling at SNL, I never quite found like I had my footing. I wasn't particularly good at impressions, but I did do a Sean Penn impression back in the day, and we've never met. This is the first time we've interacted, and you're much better humored than I feel like I portrayed you on the show, so I feel like I owe you an apology.
No, I reject that apology. I saw exactly myself at many chapters of life. It's a zone I get in. It's not that I don't find the moment funny. I think I actually sometimes, there's a kind of adrenaline in following one's own self-seriousness that I guess there's a certain, I don't know, counterpoint in it that I get a quiet kick out of.
Well, that's good. It's good to know that there's a kick getting passed along in the viewing of it. Hey, thanks so much, not just for making the time for us today, but with everything you're doing with CORE. We really appreciate it.
Thank you very much.